What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. It's officially game week. The Miami Hurricanes take on the Alabama Crimson Tide September 4th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This is it. This is what we've all been waiting for this entire offseason, and it's finally here. Also, the first team depth chart has been released. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk some recruiting with my co-host Ross again, and we're just very excited for college football to be back. So Ross, man, without further ado, let's talk about the depth chart real quick. Obviously, quarterback position. We all know De'Aaron King is going to be our leader this upcoming season. What do you think about backup quarterback? Any surprises there?
I'm not shocked, honestly. I know that experience is a big deal in Lashley's offense, and he likes to get guys in who are familiar. So if something was to happen, it seems to be that they would trust TVD in a crunch time situation more than they would Garcia right now. But that can change as the season goes on. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the backup quarterback position is one of the most important on the football team because, God forbid, in any college football program, your starting quarterback, he has to miss a couple games. Or like we saw at Illinois, Art Sikowski had to step in. I think it was Brandon Peters went down. So if your starting quarterback does go down, next man up, he's got to be ready to go. His name's going to be called. So the backup quarterback position is very very important. But I will say this: De'Aaron King, all indications show, man, he is ready to go. He's in his prime, back from his injury. I cannot wait to see his performance against Alabama. Kirk Herbstreit said it best: he can be the face of college football. Ross, do you think that's possible?
Absolutely. If our offense gets moving like we think it can, and the deep pass game becomes something that we can start to rely on a week-to-week basis, there is no doubt in my mind that King can become, if not the face, at least one of the top faces in college football.
Fresh 1352 mentions Avante Williams. If you guys do not know, he will be sitting out the first 6 games of the season. I was a little bit surprised. I did not expect him to play against Alabama. Some people did. Well, he's not going to be playing the first half of the season. You heard the news today by Coach Manny Diaz. Ross, what were your first thoughts?
I get it. I wasn't expecting 6 games, though, Paul. I really wasn't. I was expecting maybe 3 at the most. So I'm a little surprised it's going to be that long. But my hope is that will truly give him the time that he needs to get in shape. So when he does get on the field for us, he's ready to rock.
Tony Kidd has a very interesting question if you like to get into hypothetical situations. If this does occur, with the game on the line, would you rather have our offense on the field for a winning drive needing a touchdown, or the defense defending Alabama's offense?
Oh, I'm going with our offense. Yeah, I would rather have our offense on the field
Agreed.
versus their defense than the other way around.
Yeah. No, I agree, because our offense, I think, is going to be the strength of this entire team. I think offensively, we're going to be a lot stronger than our defense. Second year with Rhett Lashley. Whereas, defensively, we'll get into it later, but I think there's some position units where I still have a question. I need to see it on the field to believe it. All right, Running backs. Cam Harris or Don Chaney. Seems like they're going to be rotating for first-team snaps. Manny Diaz said they're going to be deciding starters this week in practice for who gets majority of the carries. How do you see this play out against Alabama?
I can see us wanting to lean on our experienced guy a little bit early, maybe trying to get some tough yards between the tackles and stuff like that. Try to win some of those battles in the trenches with our power. There's no doubt in my mind, though, that as the game goes on, and it'll be shortly after the game starts, that guys like Chaney got to really get involved. He's got more speed. He's got more versatility than Cam. And I just think he's going to be that much more important of a piece for us. Don't get me wrong. Cam has a place. He has a place for sure. But I think Don Chaney needs to be our lead back versus Bama.
Yeah, I mean, I preferably would like to see kind of an established, running back room where we have our first, second down running back, and then short yardage situation, your third down running back. Who is that? Who's going to be that person? Maybe it's Cam Harris, maybe it's Don Chaney, but kind of, have the identity in the running back room, distribute it between 2 running backs. One thing I would say, a lot of people are praising Cody Brown. Watch out for him this upcoming season. Now, I don't know how he's going to get carries, to be honest, how you're going to distribute all those carries, because your third string is Jalen Knighton and your fourth string is Cody Brown. So, how does that work out? I don't know. It's a good thing to have, especially, if injuries do happen, which is natural in the game of football. It's going to happen. It's a violent sport, obviously. So I'm curious how they utilize this running back room. I'm looking for improvements this upcoming season, but it starts with our offensive line. Ross, what do you see with our first offensive line so far, running with the ones that they listed?
Well, I will say, just outright from the jump, I'm really glad to hear Zion Nelson is going to be ready for game day. That was utterly crucial for us. I didn't want to go out there with our plan B option at left tackle to go against the number one team in the nation. That just simply wasn't what I wanted to rely on. Other than that, though, Paul, everything was pretty much exactly as I thought it would be. It is. I mean, these are the guys that I believe are going to give us the best chance to compete.
How about Jalen Rivers stepping up at left guard?
Yep.
That's huge. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is he a true freshman, or I know he's a freshman no matter what.
Redshirt, yeah.
Redshirt freshman, okay. This whole COVID thing has me going crazy. So Jalen Rivers, underclassman, redshirt freshman, getting the nod as a starter at left guard. That's huge. How do you think he's going to perform against Alabama's defensive line?
There'll be some ups and downs. I mean, this is a little tough to throw a guy out there for that, but I'll tell you what, Paul, this guy has NFL upside if we develop him properly. He was one of my 10 favorite offensive linemen in his class, and I think it's the right move to get him on the field now and get him accustomed to the game and gel that first unit.
Hey, look, you have Donaldson at right guard. You have Scaife at right tackle. Your left tackle is going to be Zion Nelson. Of course, at center is going to be our veteran leader, Corey Gaynor. I'm big into depth. I understand, rotating offensive linemen. Things can get a little tricky there. You get out of rhythm. What do you think about our second-team offensive line? Because I'll be honest, I do like certain areas. Jared Williams at left tackle, I'm fine with that. Ja'Kai Clark at center, okay. Oluwaseun at right guard. We'll see what happens. Right tackle scares me to death.
Yeah, the right tackle one, that worries me a little bit, Paul. If Scaife was... Yeah, if Scaife was to go down, that would make me a little concerned. But I think that even though, we have this depth chart in front of us, I think the coaches have a different kind of plan as to what would truly happen if Scaife got hurt. I don't think it would necessarily just mean that the backup gets the job. I think they've got other guys that can fill that.
Yeah, I've said it the offseason. I still don't think we have an established second team by any means. I think that's the case going into season, and I think how you develop your second-team offensive line is against non-conference play. Your Central Connecticut States, your App States, your weaker conference opponents, get them snaps, get them experience. Whereas, the games where they're not going to play much, you got to stick with your first team heavily and keep those guys in all four quarters.
I believe it, man. This is the season, Paul, where this unit has to gel if we want to take a step forward, like we want to take the step forward. It has to.
Look, your backbone of the offense, I don't care if you have Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Lamar Jackson. I don't care who's your quarterback. If you don't have a good offensive line, your quarterback better be very mobile where he's so athletic in the pocket where he can just literally, it doesn't matter if your offensive line is bad. He can just take off at any time. That's really going to be the situation because not trying to go backwards, but 2019, Jared Williams got sacked 7 times against Florida. It was still a close game. Imagine we had a good offensive line that game. So, the offensive line is going to be huge for this game and this upcoming season. And, De'Aaron King, he's going to be our leader, but he's going to rely heavily on our first-team offensive line. With that being said, you need a good offensive line to have time in the pocket. Wide receiver play. A little bit interesting here, I thought. You have Keyshawn Smith starting, Charleston Rambo, and Mike Harley. Xavier Restrepo, it seems like he's earned a spot to start. Did not get the nod. They're going to put him in back of Mike Harley. What do you think about this?
This is the exact 3 that I was expecting to be the starters, and I'm very glad to see that Restrepo did earn that backup role. I think with his performance this offseason and the type of player he is, how hard he works, his skill set, there's value in that, especially in Lashley's offense. We need multiple slot guys that we can depend on. It's just we can't just run out Harley all the time and just think everything's going to be cool. We got to have some rotations going on. I will say that I thought, this is just my opinion, but I was thinking maybe Redding might actually play better behind Rambo instead of Wiggins, the other way around.
Agreed.
And I tell you what, Paul, I'd be pretty worried if Wiggins has to get out there and get major snaps.
Well, I'll say this. I understand Mark Pope is not shown in the depth chart for the second team wide receivers, but I think he will be incorporated into the offensive playbook. In the wide receiver rotation, you're going to see a lot of Mark Pope. He's going to be given chances. Speed alone, he's an X factor. Okay, he does have good speed, elite speed. Like I said, he just has to hold on to the football. We'll see what happens there, but I do expect Mark Pope to play a lot. Xavier Restrepo, that's someone to look out for. That's my breakout player this upcoming season. I'm glad he's going to be incorporated. He's a hard worker. He's everything you want in a Miami Hurricane. Look out for Charleston Rambo this game. I think he's going to have a huge one, Ross.
I think Rambo's the guy who's a little bit more accustomed to playing in a battle like this. So I think that's going to be a fair thing to assume that he would be ready right from the jump.
24/7 Kane stated Mark Pope isn't traveling. Have you heard anything on that?
That's my first time hearing it.
First time as well. If you do have more details on that, please feel free to add it in the chat. Greatly appreciate it. All right. I'm going to give it back to you, Ross. Tight ends, you got Will Mallory. Of course, he's going to be starting. Elijah Arroyo is the backup tight end. This is something where it's a big question mark. I don't know if I feel comfortable with Elijah Arroyo, 2 tight end set. Do you see Miami utilizing a 2 tight end set against Alabama early on, or is this something we're going to slowly have to mix in?
I don't see us implementing it much versus Bama. If we had a little bit more of a solid backup option as a number 2, I'd say go for it. I love Arroyo's upside. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player, but it's just a lot to ask for a true freshman to be part of something like that right now. Will Mallory's the guy. We got to feed him properly. We can't ignore him. We can't just do a couple passes to him and think that he's going to break one. He needs to be relied on for receptions at tough moments. That's the guy. If something was to happen to him, we would end up seeing a mix of probably guys like, Hodges, Mammarelli, Arroyo. It wouldn't be one guy replacing him. It would have to be a team effort.
Yeah, no, I think Will Mallory's going to get the majority of playing time. I think he needs to be utilized a lot more. In my opinion, I feel like we didn't really utilize the tight ends that much the past season the way I wanted it to be with 2 great tight ends. I think health is an issue with Mallory.
Yeah.
So, look, I hope he has a great breakout year. I think we can utilize him a lot more this upcoming season. And hopefully, Rhett Lashley's playbook is a lot bigger than what we expected because it was a difficult year what we saw last year. So, new season, we'll see what happens. All right, let's switch over to the defense. Defensive end, you have Jahvari Harvey and Zach McLeod getting the nod at the defensive end position unit. What do you think about those two?
I get the Jahvari Harvey mood. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there. I get that. He is the prototype physically for us. Correct. He is the type of guy that we turn into a legit starter with NFL upside. I totally understand why he's in there. Zach McLeod is still going to have to prove some things to me. He's the veteran. I know that Manny Diaz likes to lean on his veterans for certain things, but he's going to have to show me quite a bit, Paul, because I'm really high on Chance Williams. Chance Williams, maybe not in the first couple weeks, but by week 5 or 6, I expect him to really pick it up.
Yeah, I want Zach McLeod to play well this upcoming season. I want him to do great. He's a veteran player. It's a late position switch. Jess Simpson stated he's playing the best football he's ever played at the collegiate level. I have to see it to believe it because I've seen this quote many times in past off seasons. It's off-season talk. Then when the regular season comes, that's when the truth is told. So I got to see it to believe it with Zach McLeod. I will say this. I think Jahvari Harvey, I think talent-wise, it's there. He's just about to get his opportunity. Look out for a breakout season with Jahvari Harvey, man. His measurements are there. Look, the kid is jacked. I love him. He's a freak athlete. I really think he can be a special talent, and this is his time. He's got a full season ahead of him getting first-team snaps. What do you think is the expectation sack-wise for our defensive end unit?
I would say that, individually, a guy like Harvey, we're going to want to see that 6 to 7 to 8 sack total by the end of the season, I believe. Now, if he gets that 4 or 5 mark but still continues to get pressure, that's okay. We can work with that. But getting home to the quarterback is going to be vitally important because we've had issues with that. We've gotten pressure. We just haven't gotten our guys home all the time. I think that this is a really big thing for us if Jafari Harvey steps in and does well, because then it means a guy behind him and DeAndre Johnson is experienced and can possibly come in as actual, fairly quality depth for us at that position, which we need.
Yeah. All right. So defensive tackles, your interior right there. Jonathan Ford gets the nod. Seems like Nesta is going to be rotating back and forth between Jonathan Ford and Jared Harrison Hunt. What do you think about Jonathan Ford getting his starting role, his last season of college football, and Harrison Hunt? I actually like that. I like Nesta kind of playing behind those two.
It makes sense to me, especially from a standpoint of trying to stuff the run early. Ford is our guy for that. He's the guy that can help eat up some space and affect the run game a lot more. I think it's cool to have Nesta behind them where it kind of shows versatility. We can move him to different spots and utilize him in different ways. I think that's going to be a bonus for us.
Look, I'm curious how Nesta plays this upcoming season. I've always said it's a mental thing with Nesta, and the opposing team, gets in his head. I thought we saw the best condition football season from Nesta Silvera the past season. It's his last year of college football. We do have a veteran group at our D tackles. I think just we need to be smart, mentally smart, and we can't give up dumb penalties because that will bite us in the ass against Alabama, and that's how you keep drives alive. In my opinion, interior defensive tackles are the strength of this defensive line unit. Jared Harrison Hunt, look out for him. He's going to have a huge year. And we haven't spoken about this player, Leonard Taylor. Do you think he gets snaps week 1?
Yeah. He's the type of guy that I believe not only just based off of what he could be upside, but I think he's a guy who's shown in practice already that he deserves it. He's physically ready. As long as he gets the mental part of the game down, he's good to go.
Hey, let's move over to striker. This was a little bit interesting because Gilbert Frierson, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the starter at the striker position last year. I thought he did a fairly good job. Had a huge improvement from his freshman year. They move Amari Carter there. He's going to be starting over him. Now, it does make sense to utilize both players, kind of, divide the snaps for situational purposes. Maybe it's against run defense, pass coverage. I can see that there. Amari Carter, on run defensive schemes, situations, I think you can utilize him better. I think he's better against the run than Gilbert Frierson compared to pass coverage. What do you think about this? Because I think Amari Carter, looks like a linebacker in ACC level, in my opinion. I feel like we always should have put him there. Forget safety. Someone actually made a funny quote as well saying, what are the chances Amari Carter gets a targeting call against Alabama? I thought that was hilarious. What do you think about Amari Carter starting, Gilbert Frierson, how that's going to play out?
I think Amari Carter can be vital for us in the run game. And from everything I've heard, when he gets a chance to play downhill and impact the run game, he's done a good job of it in practice. It sounds like not just from a little standpoint, but it truly has impressed the coaching staff of what he can do in run defense. Frierson, he offers us more, Paul. He does. I can see him in more scenarios at more times on the field than I can see Carter. I see Carter as more of a guy where you want to keep him out there just for the physical presence, just for the run stopping. I don't want to see him get caught up in any pass situations, bro.
Devin Ray states Amari Carter is getting 5th-year senior love. It seems like a lot of veteran players are getting that veteran love. Look, we saw this with Scott Patchin in 2019. Played, I think, 4 games before Gregory Rousseau really was able to get the starting nod, get the heavy majority of snaps, and the rest is history. Do you think that will be a similar case? And I'm not trying to go back to the whole Zach McCloud thing, but Chance Williams, everyone's raved about him. Do you think he can overtake that starting role? These are just predictions. We could be completely wrong.
If he doesn't take over the starting role, I think no matter what happens, he earns more snaps as the season goes on. He's got higher upside at the position than Zach McCloud does, in my opinion. While McCloud might have more experience and might be a little more game ready week one, the guy with the more upside is going to be the guy that we're going to see flourish in the long run, I bet.
Is it a red flag if Amari Carter and Zach McLeod lose their starting jobs midway through the season?
No, I don't think it is. No, I think it shows that we actually have some depth that are truly competing and trying to make a difference. I think those guys actually belong in specific roles, not starting roles.
I will say this: if Amari Carter does get a targeting call against Alabama, I'm sorry. Coach Banda said when they recruited him, his IQ is phenomenal. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's move over to the linebacker position unit. They got Corey Flagg, Keontre Smith. By the way, everyone is raving about Keontre Smith. I got to see it to believe it. Obviously, he just made the position switch from striker to inside linebacker. What do you think with our personnel so far?
From the sounds of it, this by far gives us our most upside. While we're not sure exactly how much upside it is, a guy like Keontre at least offers a little bit more of the new age style linebacker that we haven't had. So hopefully we keep leaning in that direction and try to keep bringing speed in.
I'll be honest, this personnel we have, I'm curious. I'm questioning it. I got to see it to believe it. I don't know how we're going to stop Alabama's run. I don't. They have a big set of running backs. They're over 215 pounds. Goal line stands, short yard situations. I don't know. I got to see it live. I'm not confident with this position unit. Depth there, you got Bradley Jennings, Wayman Steed. Wayman Steed's career has had a lot of health issues. Bradley Jennings as well to a certain extent. I think this gets you through conference play, but against your Alabamas, your North Carolinas, your Clemsons, that's where it gets very iffy. So let's see what happens. Maybe Keontre Smith, Corey Flagg do a tremendous job against Alabama. We'll find out. But I'm still questioning those two players. I mean, that position unit as a whole.
I agree. That's the unit that I'm going to be having my eyes on at the Bama game early and often. If we have our linebacking core missing assignments and missing lanes, it's going to be a problem for us.
Another position unit I'm always going to question until I see it, until it proves me wrong. Your cornerbacks, you got DJ Ivey to Corey Couch getting the nod, running with the ones. You also have Tyreek Stevenson backing both of those guys up. I kind of like that situation. Honestly, I would like Tyreek Stevenson over Ivey. We'll see. Maybe Ivey's done a complete 180. Same thing I've been saying the whole show. I got to see it to believe it. What do you think?
I think they specifically see Tyreek in more of certain sets. I don't know if they want him out there getting all the snaps right away on the outside. I think that there's value in him being versatile coming in and out of the rotation. And on top of that, Paul, if we ever need to lean on the guy for more snaps, he's an SEC guy. We can lean on him.
Yeah, no, I fully expect Tyreek Stevenson to be our leader at the cornerback position unit. To Corey Couch, phenomenal player. I think he's going to do really good this upcoming season. I want Ivy to do well. I really do. I've seen it so many off seasons, all this hype. He's a different player. He's improved. And first quarter comes, they throw a deep bomb. He gets burnt. I just got to see it, man. I got to see it live. He has all the talent. He has the tools for everything you want in a cornerback.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, man. But I'm telling you, Tyreek Stevenson, that's who I'm circling in there at the cornerback position unit. I think he's going to do a tremendous job this upcoming season.
I think Couch is also going to do an amazing job. I think that's a perfect fit for what T-Rob really likes to do back there. And Paul, we're going to finally see our DBs playing physical at the line of scrimmage. We're going to try to throw guys off routes. We're going to get hands on them early and try to throw timing and all that off. That's a big thing in T-Rob's secondary.
Al Blades, he hasn't played in probably close to 6 to 8 months. Do you see him getting a lot of playing time early on this season, or is this going to be, kind of just, maybe some late minute snaps, fourth quarter snaps?
Yeah, something like that. Late fourth quarter snaps. If anything, having to be brought in if we desperately need some help in pass coverage in the back end there. But there just isn't room for major snaps.
Yeah. All right, Let's move over to safety. Bubba Bolden, Gervin Hall getting the nod, running with the ones. Look, I'm really excited about this group as a whole. You got Cam Kitchens backing up Gervin Hall. You have James Williams backing up Bubba Bolden. Second team excites me. I'm very excited what the underclassmen, the true freshmen, can do. How do you see this playing out? Snap wise, do you think those are going to be our permanent starters throughout the season, or it's going to flip?
I'd love to have it be our permanent starters just to kind of prove that the T-Rob effect is real and it's happening right away, that he made the right call and the right adjustment from week one. Having guys, though, like Kinchens and James Williams behind him, I'm just as excited as you are, Paul. I mean, phenomenal upside from those two young players. Kinchens was the best overall safety or best pure safety in his class, in my opinion. James Williams probably had the most upside in terms of raw ability and physical ability, but Kinchens, as far as a player on the field, he was the best pure safety in that class, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's had, 5 interceptions so far in the fall. That's incredible. James Williams, man, that's someone you can put wherever you want on the field. I don't know where they're going to utilize him. Seems like safety. I would love to see him play against Alabama just to get on the field. I don't know if they will put him on maybe some snaps, but man, that second team safeties position unit really does excite me, and I'm excited for the future in the secondary. I think there's a lot of talent, and we didn't talk about cornerbacks who aren't on the depth chart. Marcus Clark, Isaiah Dunson. I think Isaiah Dunson. That's someone to circle his name this upcoming season. I think he's going to get a lot more snaps than people, think, and I think it's going to come midway through the season. So it's good depth we're adding up.
Yeah, I mean, from a physical standpoint, he's what we're going to want in the future. I mean, he offers all of it: the strength, the length, the height. He's got that whole package.
So looking back, we basically just covered offense and defense. Name me your two position units you're most happy with, and then we'll get into the ones we're most questioning.
I'm happy with the offensive line starters, Paul. I really am. While that turns into being productive on the field, we'll see. But I am happy with the chosen starters. Linebacker, I know that you're worried about it too. That's going to be my concern until something changes. I don't know what we're going to get from these guys, especially early in the season. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. The linebacker play is definitely a big question mark for me. I've stated it. I think that we can start with depth. Our starting linebackers traditionally are not the strongest we've seen at the University of Miami compared to, past linebackers, which was the Miami standard. I think we're catering more to the inside linebacker, position compared to a middle linebacker or your traditional outside linebacker. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. This is more towards a spread offense is what we're catering it to, modern day college football offense. And you need to have an athletic linebacker that can stop the run and can be athletic in pass coverage. And that's what Manny Diaz is looking at if you look at our recruiting right now. So that's what you're getting with Keontre Smith and Corey Flagg.
Yep.
I would say this, quarterback play, look, I'm happy with it because I think the future is bright. De'Ara King, I think he's going to have a phenomenal last season of college football. And, you mentioned offensive line. I am worried with that Scaife situation, Kylie on Herbert. I think Navon Donaldson is going to play outstanding. Ja'Kai Clark, I think I'm fine with that after Gainer. Zion Nelson should be one of our leaders, best NFL draft prospect. So, our first team offensive line, it's going to look good. And I believe Jared Williams is backing up Zion Nelson, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. The only thing left guard, I'm curious how Jalen Rivers holds it down. But the entire offensive line unit, first team, I think will be fine throughout conference play. Second team, I think it's awful. I'm just being real. I don't think, I think even in conference play, there's issues. So that worries me a lot. And defensive end, I think depth is where I'm worried at because you got Zach McLeod, Chance Williams. What do you think was better? I mean, obviously, like Rousseau's on another level, but do you think Scott Patchen? Would you rather have Scott Patchen at DN or those two, McLeod or Chance Williams?
I think in terms of just raw upside, I like Chance better. But I mean, Patchen proved to actually be kind of a decent player before he left college. I mean, he went in and actually put up some really solid stats. I was surprised.
We haven't mentioned this name throughout the show, but DeAndre Johnson, he's going to have to contribute as an elite role player. He really is, because depth. If he doesn't live up to that, SEC transfer, having 4.5 sacks, ninth in the SEC, doing well in the ACC. If he doesn't play well this upcoming season, that's where it gets really scary at defensive end.
Yeah.
So just look out for that. This may not be a strong defensive end unit because we've been very spoiled in the past few years. So do not get mad if we don't perform the best defensive line-wise. All right. We did not talk about punt returner. Tyreek Stevenson will be returning punts over Xavier Restrepo. Do you like it, Ross?
If it's effective, I like it. I mean, I wanted Restrepo in there. This is a position that we've needed to overhaul for a while. So if Tyreek Stevenson offers us a little bit of playmaking and secure hands, then I'm all for it.
Correct. No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we need to get it going. We need to get it going at punt return. We had no identity this past season. We snuck in Osborne in 2019. It was kind of 6 to 8 games in. It was fairly late in the 2019 season. We need to create an identity at the punt return position unit. Not Mark Pope. If Xavier Restrepo is the answer, great. But let's see what Tyreek Stevenson can do. I don't see him as an electrifying punt returner. I just don't see. I don't think he has that motor. I think Restrepo more would have been a better option. So I'm curious what's behind that motive. Maybe it will switch or rotate. Because remember, we had Gervin Hall as second team punt returner last year. And he got some burn early on in the first game. So we'll see what happens. But knowing Miami in the punt return role, it does switch often. So you may not see Tyreek Stevenson finish out the year. Maybe Xavier Restrepo will take over majority of snaps there.
Maybe our coaching staff has reached a point where they're telling the guys, look, you're going to get your shot. If you don't perform, we've got 2 or 3 guys behind you that we're going to put out there instead. So I hope that we don't just settle on something mediocre.
Yep. No, 100% agree. All right, Ross, you wanted to go over recruiting quickly. There was a big decommitment. Afonso Allen, 5-star safety. Could be wrong on that rating, but the kid's elite. Decommitted from Arizona State. I believe he attends Miami Central Senior High School. He used to attend Hollandale last year. What are your thoughts on this?
Very physical player. I actually really like Afonso Allen a lot. He was there with the Hollandale guys when Junior Rosegreen was there.
Yep.
Very, very solid development from a high school standpoint. I mean, if we decide to get interested, I wouldn't be shocked just for the fact that he's unlike any of the other safeties that we've been pursuing. We went after Sherrod Colville, who Clemson got. But, this is another guy that we could add as a physical presence if we want to.
Yeah, this is a must get. He's in Miami-Dade County. He's playing high school ball at Miami Central. One of the top safeties in the nation. When he committed to Arizona State, I think everybody was a little bit surprised. Why Arizona State. I understand Herm Edwards is their head coach, but as a program itself, a lot of players from South Florida don't really end up going that far to the West Coast. Not to my memory. So, hey, Travaris Robinson. I'm just fortunate that he's on this coaching staff, but I'll say this. I know a lot of SEC programs are going to want him as well. And, I don't think it's an automatic get for Miami. I think we're in a great position. Yeah. He's in our backyard, but, he did pick Arizona State, and I thought that was interesting.
One thing that he did make a public statement about is that since his decommitment, there's been some talk with him in Michigan, Mississippi State, North Carolina, and South Florida.
Hey, look out for North Carolina. That could be a deciding game when we play them in Chapel Hill midway through the season. All right, Ross, I know you spoke with Ryan Wright from Rivals in regards to a specific player you wanted to bring up, I believe, class of 2023.
Josephs. Yes, Josephs. I had a chance to speak with him just briefly about it, and he had made the mention to me that there's a possibility that he could be visiting in this fall for Miami. This is an interesting prospect. This is one of those physical prototypes that we like at Miami, and I think it's going to be something to keep an eye on, Paul. I really do, because we know what we like. We know what we want to settle on at Miami, and I think that's a kind of guy that we really want to go after.
Yeah, and you you also mentioned there were 2 recruits as well out of Fleming Island High School, class of 2023, that you're very big on. You can tell the viewers more that they want to visit during App State as well. They contacted Rob Likens. They're still waiting to hear back from them. Share with the viewers their names and, what position.
Yeah, Fleming Island has 2 2023 kids that both have offers from Miami. One of them is running back Samuel Singleton.
Yeah.
This is a no-nonsense running back in the sense of he finds the lane, he hits it, and he gets production. There's no, trying to dance behind the line. There's no extra stuff. He is a hard-nosed player, and he's moving up a lot of teams' boards from what I understand. 24/7 actually gave him a pretty big bump in their latest recruit rankings. The guy I really, really, really am interested in here, Paul, is they have a 6'4", 190-pound receiver named Darian Dominic.
Yep.
This is a guy who has a track background and basketball background. You see the explosiveness, you see the straight line speed. He took a 92-yard pass to the house in week 1 just off of a short pitch to the outside. It literally wasn't even for a yard in the air. He took it all 92 himself. Pulled away from the safeties that were trying to get him at 6'4", 190.
What is Rob Likens waiting for? Seriously, they want to visit App State. They want to take their unofficial visit. Let them. What is he waiting for?
I think it's just having to play the recruiting game. I think that we're able to contact 2023 recruits soon. I don't think we can talk to them quite yet, but I think very soon we'll be able to.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add to recruiting before I get to my next topic? I know Jermaine Shack is another wide receiver out of South Florida you're big on. He's a very impressive prospect as well.
Paul, I lost you there. What name did you say? Sorry.
Jermaine Shack.
Oh, yeah. Jeremiah Shack. Yes. Jeremiah Shack. Another 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver. And I actually see a little bit more speed in him than I do in Dominic. I think Shaq is the guy that could definitely play wide receiver for sure in college. I think that you could see Dominic possibly change to a hybrid tight end, jumbo wide receiver type of role eventually.
Interesting. He's a big body, absolutely. And, he's still class of 2023, has plenty of time to grow. I'll tell you what, whoever lands Jeremiah Shack is going to be a star, this kid at the next level. And that's a must-get priority pick for the University of Miami. And 2023 wide receiver wise is loaded in the state of Florida, completely stacked.
Yeah, I've I've got actually quite a few names of sleepers that have interest from Miami and players who are actively interested in Miami. We've got guys like 2022 inside linebacker Elijah Miller from Miami Central, 2022 cornerback Elijah McCantos from Miami Edison. These are guys who have been on campus and worked out for our coaches. So there's always something to keep an eye on in that aspect. Darius Thomas, we've spoken about him before, the safety. He's been on campus a couple times. That's a guy that Canes fans should keep an eye out for, especially if we don't hit on some of our other targets. While he's not exactly a burner, he is what I would call a very technically sound player no matter what. There's another, actually, and it's kind of interesting. There's a cornerback that really stood out at Paradise Camp from 2022. His name's James Edwards. And he's actually an App State commitment currently right now. So I'm kind of curious if he might be attending that game or not. But he showed out, Paul. He really, really showed out. Another one of the guys there was offensive tackle David Connor. He just committed to Florida. That's one I'm worried that we might miss that one, honestly, Paul. If we don't get the guys that we want to get, that's a big loss for us right there. A guy that me and you talk about a lot and a guy I want to make sure we get to talk about here, 2023 athlete Renaud Smith. Talk about an incredible game week 1. He returned a 99-yard interception touchdown, but in his first time playing defense in that scheme, and also added 120 rushing yards on the ground. So he did it on both sides of the ball. Raymond Polito, 2023 offensive tackle from Apple Valley, California, 6'7", 340 pounds, seriously, and he carries the weight well. He's mobile. He actually moves a lot better than you think he would for his size. Natural wide frame, burly limbs, good core strength, and this is a guy that specifically Snoop, he told me to keep an eye out for Polito. He said that he was absolutely shocked he was a 2023 kid. And when you have them standing next to each other, Polito is actually physically bigger than Snoop is right now. There is a 2023 running back that is just starting to get a little bit of burn right now for Dunbar. His name is Barry White. He came over from a private school recently. In his first game there, he had 3 carries, 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Another no-nonsense running back, very strong with very good footwork. You know, you mentioned Alfonso Allen. Here's a guy, though, Paul, and he's a guy that we haven't talked about. I don't think Canes fans have a good idea on him yet. 2022 defensive end Elijah Russell. He's 6'7", 225 pounds. That sounds like a Cane guy to me. Trinity Catholic, plays basketball. He's athletic, and he has that exact prototype size that we want at that position. 2022 cornerback Wesley Cadet, another guy flying under the radar. He's at Homestead, 5'11", 185 pounds. Phenomenal footwork, phenomenal technique. I don't know how he doesn't have an offer yet. I really don't, Paul. It's kind of mind-blowing. And then the guy that I don't want to miss out on here, that I hope our staff didn't end up missing out on, 3-star interior defensive lineman Alton Tarber. He committed to Georgia Tech recently. He's a very old school guy, keeps to himself, doesn't play a lot of games on social media. That was a guy I really wanted in this class, Paul. It really was.
Well, hey, Ross is the go-to man when it comes to recruiting. I don't think you're ever going to meet anyone that's not associated with 24/7 Sports, Rivals, or any recruiting website that, really has these relationships with recruits, and it's legit information. It's not false. So he does a tremendous job, and when he speaks highly of a recruit, he doesn't really miss. And we've recruited a ton of great players: Isaiah Bond, Jaron Willis, Santana Fleming, Snoop Almama, Anthony Lucas, Ja'Curry Brown. We can keep going on for days. But I'll tell you what, man, Ross really does evaluate these players, identifies them early on in the recruiting process, like he did with Isaiah Bond, Jaron Willis, a lot of players as well. So really take into account what he's saying, and, he really does a tremendous job. So with that being said, we got a $10 donation from Sigmund. Greatly appreciate your support, Sigmund, your donation. Really do appreciate it, man. So thank you so much for taking time out of your night to donate to the channel and to tune in tonight as well. Who is the new recruiting coach that just got hired at Miami? Now, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm out of the loop on that. Maybe Ross, you can chime in on that if you do know the name. I've been working all day. I have not had a chance to. If there was a new recruiting coach hired, I'm out of the loop.
Is this now? I know that there was an intern that was brought in. I don't know if this is what they're referring to or not, but I know that an intern was brought in. He is the intern. I've actually had a chance to speak with him a couple of times. He got a really bad injury when he was in college at Maryland, and he had to stop playing football. And like kind of overnight almost, he turned into a defensive lineman specialist. And all of a sudden, he was training defensive linemen heading to the NFL and Power 5 guys, and they were calling his phone week by week trying to get more and more help. We identified that in this process, and we brought him in. And while he's an intern, it's still going to be great for us because he's going to get to learn from some of the best, Paul. We know that. He's going to get to learn from some of the absolute best guys out there. And gosh, I'll tell you what, he's excited. He was thoroughly excited when I talked to him. His name is Cam Spence. That's his name. I was trying to remember. He goes by Coach Bear. So if Canes want to get familiar with him, I would go check out a video of his on YouTube that, like I said, the name is Cam Spence. He talks about the injury he went through and the process of turning into a trainer. I think we found an ace in the hole here, bro. I really do.
Hey, remember the name, Cam Spence. He's going to be the next Jimbo Fisher, according to Rob. No, I'm kidding. But no, he's a great kid. He actually followed me on Twitter today as well. So look forward to developing a great relationship with Cam, and maybe one day we'll get him onto the channel as well as we go on throughout the season and we get into closer to National Signing Day. That would be pretty cool. So
yeah, I mean, he's Canes fans. He's absolutely loving being at Miami already. You can feel the excitement just through the DMs that I've talked with him about. It's hard to do that sometimes, but he is openly excited about Miami and the future of the program, and he loves the coaching staff already. Absolutely loves them.
By the way, guys, I want to thank everyone for joining us. 46 minutes in, over 130 people on live with us. We greatly appreciate it. By the way, we're 6 subscribers away from 7K.
Yeah.
Those of you guys who've been following me since literally 0 subscribers, year one, we're 6 away. So if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, the like button. Greatly appreciate it. We're 6 away from 7K. My apologies. We're not 6 away. We're like 40 away. But I did the math wrong. We're actually like 37 away. My apologies on that. But please hit subscribe. Would greatly appreciate your support to the channel. It's been a long time. So almost at 7K, and we started at 0 subscribers. So greatly appreciate it. All right. Ross, last thing before we wrap it up.
I was actually just checking my phone. I heard a little buzz from it. I just got an email from Mr. Eric Winston, the guy that we had on our show. I asked him what he thought about the Alabama game. His response, verbatim, "Let's go Canes 28-27."
Gotta love it, man. Eric Winston, Miami Hurricane, former president of the NFL Players Association, a veteran NFL player as well, has the Miami Hurricanes beating the Alabama Crimson Tide by 1 point in Atlanta. Hey, gotta love it, man. We'll see what happens. It'll be a very, very interesting game. And Ja'Cory Brown, you spoke with him as well, Ross. He has Miami winning 38-31. I got to say, I'm pretty surprised with these predictions. I don't know if my prediction will be similar to Ja'Cory's, but we'll see as we get closer to the game. I know we're dropping it Thursday.
He's got 38-31 and a pick six from Bubba Bolden to win the game. So that is our 2022 quarterback commit, Ja'Cory Brown, guys. He's riding with us.
All right. Hey, we'll see what happens, man. Everyone has a prediction. For some reason, none of it is exactly what we imagine it to be. So, hey, thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. We did it on the fly as always. We greatly appreciate your support. And
Yes.
we will be going live tomorrow for a Canes After Dark show. And then Thursday as well with Stacey Blackwood, Alabama analyst. So thank you again, guys. And always, all about the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.